Chapter 12, January 16th, 2201, Denver, topside, the library. Cooper tried to run harder, but he couldn't breathe. He wasn't used to running like this. He never ran. He walked a lot topside and did those stairs at least once a day, but running, that was different. He paused at the bottom of the first escalator to catch his breath. He needed to get up to Ryder. He would know what to do and how to help his dad. After a moment to recovering his breath, he was climbing the escalator two at a time. When he reached the door to Ryder's apartment, he banged on it. "Ryder, you need to help! Raiders!" he yelled. It was all he could get out before going to his knees from lack of air. Ryder was there, lifting him up and bringing him inside. When Cooper could speak clearly, he said, "We have to go save my dad. He led the raiders away from me. He protected me so I could get here." Ryder went to the screens, examining the areas mentioned by Cooper. He zoomed in on one area and yelled to Cooper, "Let's go!" Ryder was in the elevator before Cooper was even halfway up from his chair. "Come on, we need to get in the elevator." Ryder turned back and yelled. Cooper got to his feet and ran into the elevator as the doors shut. He felt a weird sensation in his stomach and wondered if he was going up or down. An elevator? I didn't know these things still worked topside, Cooper thought. The doors opened and they were in a garage. A big vehicle stood there in front of them, with tires almost as tall as Cooper. Ryder popped the door for Cooper, then ran around the front and jumped in the driver's side. Cooper couldn't think about the fact that he was in some sort of car. He was too worried about his dad. A garage door opened in front of them, and the brightness shone in from the sunlight, reflected off the snow that still lay on the ground from yesterday. Ryder was through the door before it had risen all the way. He turned quickly, skidding a little in the snow, but then the tires grabbed and he accelerated. They headed down the street. As he drove, Ryder pulled out a gun from his pocket and checked to see that it was loaded. He pulled another one from his back pocket and handed it to Cooper. Cooper looked up in surprise. "What am I supposed to do with this?" he asked. "It is simple, Cooper. Just aim and pull the trigger, just like on Global Wars," Ryder said, accelerating, pushing the vehicle even faster. They rounded the next corner, and there they were, the raiders. Ryder pulled right up to them and skidded to a stop. Jumping from the vehicle with his gun pointed, he told Cooper to stay in the car unless he told him to come. "Down, down, on the ground now," he yelled with authority as he fired a shot over the heads of the raiders. They complained, but complied. "Where is he? Where's Mitch?" Ryder said as he grabbed the first one and flipped him over on his back. The raider just lay there looking up with crazy eyes. Then they all heard the moans from the side alley. Cooper jumped from the vehicle as Ryder threw the man he was holding to the ground in disgust. They entered the alleyway and two raiders were standing over Mitch. Ryder fired two shots and both men fell to the ground. Then they saw Mitch, and it appeared they were too late. He lay in a pile, beaten and stabbed numerous times. Cooper ran to his father's side. "No, Dad, no," he wailed. Taking a struggling breath, Mitch looked up to Cooper. Good, good. You made it to Ryder." Then turning his head slightly, he looked up to Ryder. "Ryder, you must take care of Cooper now. Make sure he makes it to space and fulfills his destiny. You owe it to him." Ryder nodded, then turned to cover their position from any raiders approaching. Looking back into Cooper's eyes, Mitch said, "Cooper, Ryder will protect you. He will make sure you find the stars, the true adventure you are seeking." He stopped to cough up blood on his hand, and he wiped his face. "I have never been happier than at this moment. You finally know the truth about your mother. She would be so proud of who you are and what you are about to do. Your destiny has always been in the stars, and my fear kept you from it. I have been in a fog I couldn't escape for more than 10 years. But now I am free, and you are ready to take on the universe. I am so sorry I kept your history from you for so long," Mitch said, coughing up even more blood. "Dad, I forgive you. I love you. I understand now why you did what you did by keeping it from me. There is one more thing I want to hear. I love you, son." And with that, Mitch's eyes closed, and he let out one last breath. "No, Dad, how can this be happening? You are supposed to come to space with me, to the stars. Now what am I to do? How can I go to the stars now?" He cried like he never had before and collapsed onto his father's body, convulsing from the waves of sadness. He was alone now, really alone. After a few minutes, he felt the steady hand of the old man on his shoulder. "Cooper, we must go now. I scared the raiders away, but they will be back in numbers soon with vengeance in their hearts. But Cooper couldn't move. He just lay there clutching his dad. Cooper, we have to go, Ryder said again, but Cooper still wouldn't move. He couldn't leave his father. Son, I am sorry, but we are out of time, Ryder said as he pulled Cooper from Mitch's dead body and half carrying, half dragging him back out of the alleyway. Cooper's wailing could be heard echoing through the alleyway as they were getting closer to the vehicle. Things got crazy. Gunshots rang out all around him, peppering the hood and the doors. Ryder turned and shot back, shooting as he tried to help Cooper into the car. Cooper was a mess. He couldn't even think straight at the moment, but he was able to get into the vehicle and Ryder slammed the door. How could this have happened? Cooper was in a daze. But then reality came back to him as Ryder opened the door again and yelled, Cooper, hand me the other gun. I need it. Cooper looked at him for a second and then handed him the gun. The door slammed shut and more bullets rained down on the car. Then he heard the driver's side open and Ryder jumped into the seat. He quickly started the engine with a big vroom. Looking through the window, Cooper noticed there were 3 raiders in front of the vehicle running away. But Ryder put the stick in drive and floored it, plowing right over them as they tried to flee, bumping the vehicle around as it went over the bodies. Then there was fire all around them, and it looked like bombs were being thrown at them. Shoot! Screamed Ryder. Then they've stepped up their game in recent weeks. Where the hell did they get grenades from? He spun the vehicle around, bumping over the top of the dead raiders one more time and heading back the way they came. From the front of the vehicle, something seemed to explode. Take that, you scum! Ryder yelled, and a huge plume of fire exploded down the road. There was smoke everywhere as Ryder turned onto another block. They drove fast, taking corners so quickly that the vehicle veered side to side, and Cooper wondered if they would flip over. They were driving from one part of the city to the other, evading the pursuers. Cooper did not know that the raiders were so organized and had so many vehicles. He felt lost, scared, and nauseous. His chest was heavy and tight as he tried to catch his breath. His whole life was completely flipped upside down. His dad was gone, and with the next hard right turn, he vomited violently in his lap, spewing up chunks of partially digested bacon. The city flew by in a blur of colors outside the window as he choked on his vomit and tears. When he woke up from the daze, Ryder was there, helping him out of the vehicle, getting him out of his soiled clothes and into a bed in the library apartment. Cooper was tired, in shock, and quickly fell into a deep, numbing sleep. Chapter 13, January 11th, 2201, The Library. The next morning, Cooper woke to the sound of boxes being moved. He looked up to see that Ryder was there packing things up, and then he remembered. He remembered separating from his dad, the run to the library, and his dad lying there in the alleyway. He couldn't believe that his dad was dead, just when he had learned so much about him and his mom. But there it was, the reality of his life. He was alone now, no one to turn to for support. Ah, good, Cooper, you are awake, Ryder said as he came over to help him into a sitting position. Here, drink this. Ryder handed him a hot drink. It had a minty taste to it, and as he took sips, he started to feel a little better. After some time, he was ready to get up, and Cooper carried the cup over to the couch and sat down. He could see the weather turned bad again, and the flakes were hitting the windows as gusts of wind piled the snow up against the sills. Ryder came to sit by him with his hot tea in hand. Well, Cooper, how are you feeling? I was worried that you were injured during the attack. The loss of Mitch is significant, as he would have been valuable to the That was my dad, Cooper cut him off. You talk about him like he's just another asset, but he was all I had left. Cooper, son, Ryder started slowly. I know how hard this must be. I am sorry that things turned out this way. The raiders have definitely become much more aggressive than ever before. I did not know that they were so well organized. Your father sacrificed himself for you. I just wish there was a way I could have saved you both. Ryder stopped for a moment but then continued. Your father gave you something special. He gave you the memories and the knowledge you wanted for so long. I know it will be hard going into training without your father by your side, but he would want you to do this. Cooper didn't know what to say. What would his dad want him to do, or his mother? He couldn't swallow or talk as the lump grew heavier in the back of his throat. The pain of thinking about all of it seemed to pierce every nerve in his body. There is nothing left for me here in Denver, Cooper thought. I already made the decision. I will go to the program, and I am ready for a change. Yes, Ryder, I will go. Well, that is good, very good. You see, I am sorry to be so short with you, but we must leave right away. I am afraid that my beautiful library complex was compromised, and even though I made sure to use evasive maneuvers and backtracking last night, it appears that the raiders have figured out that this is where we are, Ryder said with a grim look. Then came an explosion that shook the building. It seems that they have reached my first set of traps, which gives us just a few minutes, but not much more. They will be persistent now, even though many of them will die reaching this apartment, Ryder continued. He jumped up, grabbed the suitcases that were sitting on the table, and beckoned Cooper to follow him. Another staircase appeared as if out of nowhere, and they prepared to scale it. Then Cooper remembered and turned around. Don't worry about your clothes, Cooper. They will issue your uniforms when we get there. We must go now, Ryder called down the stairs to him. But Cooper was on a mission. He ran to the bed, searching for the bag his dad gave him. It wasn't there, and he was starting to panic as he felt another explosion rock the building even more. Then he saw it on the table, the pack. He grabbed it and ran up the stairs as Ryder as the wall door slid closed behind them. They were up the stairs and into what looked like a small hangar. Parked in the middle was a small helicopter, but it was different than the ones Cooper had seen on the terminal. There were these jet fans on the sides and the back that made it look more like a rocket. Cooper had never seen anything like it. Quickly now, Cooper, get into the cockpit, Ryder said as he opened the side door and held it for Cooper to get in with the bags. Ryder jumped in himself and started the pre-check takeoff procedures. As the propeller whirled to life, the roof opened up before them, and the swirling snow of the outside fell upon them. And here we go, said Ryder as they lifted off, aided by the jet propulsion on the bottom of the helicopter. You know, the Marines used to have something like this chopper over 100 years ago. They called it a Harrier. It was much like this one with adjustable jet propulsion. The one we're in was combined with the capabilities of a helicopter, giving it added reliability, especially in poor weather. As they crossed over the top of the building and headed toward the Capitol area, Ryder spun the flying craft around so that they could look back at the library. Cooper could see it into Ryder's apartment now. They hovered there for a few minutes and waited. Ryder popped open a window on the instrument panel, and it showed cameras inside the apartment. The raiders had just breached the entrance, heading up the stairs, and were tearing through stuff in the apartment. That was when Cooper noticed a small device with a red button in Ryder's hand. When he hit the button, the windows shattered and the whole building erupted in flame and smoke. I don't think anyone in New Denver will have to worry about the raiders bothering them for a while. Oh, I will miss my little apartment, but it is time to return to space. The building began to collapse and the whole structure came down on itself in a fireball of dust and rubble. That was quickly extinguished by the blowing snow. Then the jet engines roared to life, the propellers locked back into place, and they were suddenly rocketing across the landscape, gaining altitude at a quickening pace. Cooper took one last look down at Denver. It had been his home for so long, but it wasn't where he was born. He was returning to his home now in space. If only his parents were still with him. He just couldn't get the vision of his dad in the alleyway out of his head. He felt sick again and closed his eyes for a moment. Chapter 14, January 17th, 2201. Low Earth orbit. As they got closer to the edge of the sky, Cooper felt the pressure change, and his ears popped. He had never flown in anything, much less seen the Earth from this view. It made him remember the time that he went up a building to the top. It was back when he first started freelancing. He was near the parking garage, and he saw a building that was only a few stories high. He went inside and was lucky enough to find some old coins lying under a pile of old wood. It took some time to pry up the old wood, and there was dust everywhere, but then he saw the pile of coins. He filled up his pockets with as much as he could take, and then he noticed the escalator. He had never seen one before, and later looked it up on the terminal back at New Denver to figure out that it actually moves so that you could just stand there and let it take you to the top. Of course, topside, there hadn't been power for years. He approached the escalator gingerly. The steps were metal and steep. He ascended to the top and saw that there were more. The escalators went up another 4 flights. He skipped looking through the floors and ascended to the top. This is where he experienced Colorado for the first time. There were no windows left, but the view from the building was spectacular. He could see many of the buildings in ruins, but when he looked to the west, he saw the Rocky Mountains for the first time. The tops were covered in snow, even though it was summertime. He was amazed at the beauty and just couldn't believe that so many of the residents of New Denver had never seen this view before. He sat for a minute at the edge, looking around while enjoying a power bar from his pack. What would it be like to hike in those mountains, to explore the world around him? He would probably never know. That feeling of beauty and openness came back to him now as the jet ascended into the sky and reached towards space. He could see the mountains below him against the now obvious curvature of the Earth's surface. In school, he had learned that there was a time when humans thought the Earth was flat. Crazy now, seeing this view. But he could understand how they might not have believed it when the first scientists said it was round. Everything was distant, almost unbelievable, a beautiful round orb that held the only life he knew. But there was nothing for him there now. His life on Earth felt insignificant, a speck in the universe, a short, single moment in time. He thought about Ryder telling him that the Earth was stagnating, and it looked vulnerable from above. All those people, the history would be wiped out if something didn't change. He sat up a little, accepting the mission in front of him. Ryder was talking to him, but he hadn't heard, lost in thought, and now he came back to the conversation. So, Cooper, we will be heading to the Low Earth Substation 3, also known as the Egg. There is a reason they call it that, as you will see, pointed Ryder. Cooper looked up from his view of the Earth, and he saw what Ryder was saying now. It looked like an egg. He had only seen actual eggs once in his life when he traded some cord to the farmer for them. He rushed back to his apartment and his dad figured out how to boil the eggs so he could eat them hard-boiled. He didn't care for the taste much, but the memory was a good one. You see, son, Ryder was still talking, the scientists in their infinite wisdom thought this design would be better suited for travel in orbit. They realized only afterwards the problems they would face with the sleek design, and it turns out this is the only one of its kind left. Ryder finished just as the radio came on with a report. Ryder 1, this is Substation 3. Do you read? The radio squeaked. This is Ryder 1. I read you, Substation 3. We are approaching your position at a bearing of 48 degrees. Thank you, Ryder 1. Turn slightly to a bearing of 46.26 degrees and decrease your velocity to match the Substation 3. We are sending your telemetry now. Roger, Substation 3. Bearing 46.26 degrees and velocity matched. They approached the egg, and it loomed closer all around them. The airlock came into view, and Ryder deftly maneuvered the jet so that the back airlock matched up with the egg. Cooper felt the effects of weightlessness for the first time. It was a strange feeling. It was like he was falling, but it never stopped. And he truly felt the weight of all that he had been through in the past few days was gone for the moment. When Ryder told him they were connected to the egg and he should take his seatbelt off, Cooper wasn't worried. He was exhilarated. He used the handles all around him in the cockpit to propel himself slowly through the exit. Ryder was already there opening the hatch. Impressive, Cooper. It's almost as if you never left space, Ryder said, until he saw Cooper flailing toward him. Cooper forgot the most important thing when flying in space. There is no way to easily stop your momentum. Ryder grabbed his hand and helped him spin around until his back lightly pressed against the wall and he bounced off. Cooper couldn't help but laugh out loud, and that bit of happiness filled up the space in his heart that felt empty. All right, Cooper. Enough fooling around. It's time to go. Cooper followed him out of the airlock using the same handholds that Ryder was using. He imagined swimming would be like this as he alternated arms to traverse the airlock tunnel. At the end, they spun around and put their feet on the floor. They were in a big corridor with many passageways. Cooper, I have to meet with my commander first. I told him a little bit about you, but I need to bring him up to speed about the problems we face with the riders before they send my replacement back down to Denver. Then we can discuss your future. Ryder said as they maneuvered through the corridor using the handholds as they propelled their way down the passageway. They soon reached another corridor, and he saw a door that read, Commander Smith, Regional Operations. The door opened before Ryder had a chance to knock. Commander Smith was an impressive figure, standing at almost 6 feet 7 inches. The top of the door almost hit his head. His hair was short and cropped in a military style, and he was wearing a blue uniform, perfectly pressed. "Ryder, good to see you. Come in," said Smith, with a professional air about him. Smith then directed Cooper to a seat on the wall to wait. Smith moved aside, and Ryder drifted in slowly, then the door closed swiftly. Cooper was left alone in the hallway to wait. "What say you, Ryder?" Smith said to Ryder as they sat down at his desk. The room was large for the egg, but quite small by other standards. A single bed was off to one side, and a small kitchenette to the other. Behind Smith was a huge, picturesque window giving an awesome view of the earth below. The earth was geosynced over the middle of North America. This offered quick access from just about anywhere in the United States. The biggest thing in the room was the desk, where Ryder and Smith sat facing each other. The table was large enough for 6 people to sit easily, so both of them were able to spread out for the discussion. There were straps on the floor so they could sit in a seated position without floating away. Ryder deftly got his feet into the straps and put his arms on the table facing Smith. "Sir, I am happy to report that I have Cooper with me, and he has no physical injuries. Sadly, Mitch is not with me. He was murdered by the raiders before I could get to him. This is a loss to the program. During the escape, the library was compromised, and I was forced to destroy it. I have uploaded the full report to your terminal," Ryder explained. "Not a good ending for this one, Ryder. I had hoped you'd made those raiders. I hope you made those raiders pay for the attack," Smith inquired. "Of course, sir. I used a small charge as traps to draw them in the big group, and then I lit them up once they were inside the library. Data from the remote cameras indicate that all the raiders in the building were killed. I am concerned about how aggressive they are becoming. They took me by surprise when they attacked Mitch and Cooper. They tracked me down to the library. I don't think either of them would have survived if it weren't for the sacrifice of Mitch in having them split up and use himself as a decoy so Cooper could make it to the library safely. He is deserving of another silver star for his sacrifice. Also, when you send down the cleanup crew, if you could make sure that Mitch is given a proper military burial, as that would be the right thing to do," indicated Ryder. "Yes, I will make sure that is done." Smith paused, taking a small note on his tablet before continuing. "And while your mission was a success at finding many raiders who transitioned to the program well, it appears as if lately most of them have focused on destruction rather than just mischief. I have reports of this throughout most of the cities across the country. It is good that you took down most of their group, which will make it easier for our operatives in the future in New Denver. I am afraid, though, that this is just one more sign that we may never be able to put this world back together again," Smith concluded with a sigh. "Sir, there is one more worry. Cooper saw his dad just before he died. He hasn't faced violence or death in his life so far. I am worried that when his training gets hard, he might not make it through," Ryder added. "Yes, this could pose a problem. Let's make sure his training sergeant knows some of the details, although, knowing the way the training goes, they might use it against him. Cooper has the brains of his father and the courage of his mother, and if all works out well, he will fight through the loss and come out stronger than before," Smith added, bringing that part of the conversation to an end. "Now, let's discuss your next mission. Now, let's discuss your next mission, Major Ryder," Smith started with a new subject.